Hello. Read it here. Today we're going to read a story from /Am I the Asshole? Now, for our first story. Am I the asshole for refusing to share my college savings with my step-siblings because my mom saved it for me? Hi everyone, I'm Sienna, 19F, and I'm currently a student. Growing up, I lived mostly with my mom after my parents divorced, but I spent weekends and holidays with my dad, his wife, my stepmom, and their two kids, 8F and 6M. While I love my dad, I've always felt like an outsider in his new family. When I was younger, my mom started a college savings fund for me. She worked so hard to build it up over the years, and it's the reason I've been able to go to college without drowning in debt. My dad didn't contribute much to it. He said he had other expenses, especially with my younger siblings, but I've always been grateful for what my mom did. Last weekend, during a family dinner, my stepmom casually mentioned that my younger siblings are going to need help paying for college someday. Then she turned to me and asked if I'd be willing to share some of my college fund with them since we're all family. I was completely caught off guard. I told her I couldn't because that money is specifically for my education, and my mom worked really hard to save it for me. She got upset and said I was being selfish, arguing that my siblings are young and will need support when they're older. My dad chimed in, saying it would mean a lot to the family if I contributed, even just a small portion. I told them I understood their concern, but that this wasn't something I could do. My stepmom ended the conversation by calling me ungrateful and storming out of the room. Since then, my dad has been distant, and my stepmom barely speaks to me unless it's to throw a passive-aggressive comment my way. Even my mom thinks I shouldn't have entertained the conversation at all, but I didn't want to cause a bigger fight. Now I'm wondering if I handled this the wrong way. Am I the asshole for refusing to share my college fund with my step-siblings? Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. Not the asshole. That's your college money. You need to use that for your education. At the next conversation, OP should remind both SM and Dad. Yes, they will need help paying for their collage like I do. For my case, my mom saved up tooth and nail for me. Neither of you contributed to it. I suggest you start as a matter of conscientiousness, making contributions to their college fund so they get the help they need. It's not my responsibility to sponsor my siblings. It's your responsibility to sponsor your children. OP, focus on your mom. If your dad and his wife want to be passive-aggressive, spend time at your mom and avoid them for your peace of mind. You should absolutely not share, because by the looks of it, those two think. What's your step-siblings belong to your step-siblings, and what is yours also belongs to your step-siblings. Remove yourself from that complication and cherish your mother. She sounds phenomenal. Comment 2. I was waiting to read that OP's mom was dead, given the gall of the dad and step-monster to even ask that question. So, let me get this straight. OP's MOM has been saving for years, likely in a single-income household for at least a chunk, if not all of that time. And somehow Dad and his wife think they are justified asking for any of it? Are they smoking crack or something? I'm genuinely interested in how they even thought this would work, given the fact the person who saved the money is still alive. Did they think Mom would be okay? Or that OP should blow up her maternal relationship so they don't have to take responsibility for their own children? Great, read this first thing this morning, and once again Reddit has pissed in my cornflakes. Comment 3. Can we talk about how stepmom and dad, who has ample time to save for both children, has just decided to make it her stepdaughter's responsibility to fund her kid education? So in 10 years is her plan to tell the first kid, sorry your stepsister was selfish. You can't go to college? Does she think the kid won't understand the responsibility her parents actually had? Where is their father? And I somewhat understand trying this when the kid's mom is dead and gone. It's still despicable, but to try to take the money with her mom still alive to protest and advise against it is just so ballsy. Comment 4. Not the asshole. Your step-siblings have no right to a penny of the money your mother saved for you. If your dad/stepmom can't handle that, then that is their problem. It's their job to save for their kids, not yours and not your mother's. Stand firm, and do not be manipulated or emotionally blackmailed. If the money is in an account that anyone else has access to, move it. If your dad and family want to die on this hill, let them. Now, for our second story. Am I the asshole for tearing down my half-sister when she asked me why I couldn't have saved my mom's name for her to use for a future daughter? I, 27F, gave birth to my first child a month ago. My husband and I named her after my late mom and a favorite name of ours for her middle name. My mom died 10 years ago, and using her name was always something I wanted to do. When my half-sister, 24F, first heard the name, she got a little pouty and asked me why I didn't see if she wanted to use the name instead. And she said she had always imagined giving her first daughter my mom's, not her mom name. I told her I had always intended to use my mom's name, and my half-sister said my mom was basically the closest person she ever had to a mom, and how she was always so sweet and accepting of her, and she felt like it could have been a nice way for her to show respect and to show us she appreciated it. She said I didn't need to use it. I said I'm my mom's daughter, so of course I'd get to use it. My half-sister said we were all a family, and I emphasized in response that I was mom's only child. My half-sister said it might be true, but she accepted her into the family as well. And this is where I might be TA, because I told her that was not true. I told her my mom hardly had a thing to do with her. She wanted nothing to do with her, but never felt good about taking out issues on kids. So she tried to be kind when she couldn't avoid her, but she absolutely did not love and accept her. And I told her to get real, thinking the woman who was cheated on would love and accept the child that came from the affair. I told her she shouldn't be trying to imply she had more of a right to my mom's name than I do, when she was nothing to my mom, and her child wouldn't be either. She left in tears. The background is already maybe clear, but my parents were married and had me. Mom found out dad cheated on her, and got his other woman pregnant, and divorced him. She had primary custody of me. My dad ended up with sole custody of my half-sister. My dad made every effort to still be in my life, and he always brought my half-sister when he'd show up to support me. My mom hated it. She never said that to me, but a couple of times I heard her talking to my aunt or my grandma about how much she despised seeing my half-sister there, and how she knew it was an awful thing to say, but that my half-sister reaching out for her like she would whenever dad brought her was tough. I also heard her talk about dad inviting her to be active in my half-sister's life, and she declined. She said she could suck it up and not be mean to her face, but she did not want to be around her more than she needed to be. Over the years, my half-sister did try to spend more time with my mom. Whether it was packing to come with me when I was going home to mom, or her rushing out the door when mom would pick me up so she could try hug and talk to her. My half-sister always made a beeline for mom when she'd see her. My mom wasn't really that warm to her, but my half-sister always seemed to ignore it. I remember when mom died and my family and I had a private cremation for mom, and my half-sister was so upset she couldn't come, and my dad and I stopped speaking after that because he told me I should have made sure my half-sister could be there. He never discouraged my half-sister pining for mom, even though I know mom told him she did not want a relationship with my half-sister. Anyway, since my half-sister ran out crying, she has texted me and told me I was cruel and that I didn't need to crush her hope that my mom had loved her and that she'd been wanted by at least one female figure in her life. She said I never wanted to be with her and dad, and then I never wanted her with me, and mom either. So, am I the asshole? Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. Honestly, I blame your father for all of this. Your sister clearly spent her childhood wishing for a mother in her life, and instead of taking responsibility for his failures, your father tried to push the woman he cheated on to be a surrogate mother to his affair baby. I hope when things are calmer, you can encourage your sister to seek therapy to address how much your father's poor parenting messed her up. Comment 2. I agree, and would also add because of that in age. I only have half-siblings and didn't understand why my older siblings spent some weekends away from home until I got a bit older and was told they had a different dad, and that, no, I couldn't go, and yes, they would be back. All adults involved made it clear, if it wasn't our bio parent, we did not tag along. None of the adults when Opie was growing up set that expectation, and their dad is mostly to blame. And while it may have seemed cruel to the affair daughter, her mom should have stood her ground and said no. Because it also seems like the dad was also getting a free babysitter out of it for the affair daughter. Now the affair daughter feels entitled to the memory of someone that shouldn't have even been more than an acquaintance at best. It may have been harsh how Op did said it to her younger sister, but she had to learn some time. And if it had been said in a nicer way before and the hint wasn't taken, then sometimes you have to be more direct. Comment 3. NTA. While your half-sister is projecting hard, she may have idolized your mom in her head, but that doesn't change the reality of the situation. Your mom didn't want a relationship with her because of the circumstances, and that's not your fault to sugarcoat or fix. Honestly, she put you in an awkward position by even asking for your mom's name for her hypothetical kid. You have every right to honor your mom how you see fit, which is she was your mom, period. Comment 4. I bet the dad planted this seed in the half-sister's head. Planted it, watered it, and fertilized it. If he'd cared about the half-sister's emotional well-being, he would have nipped it in the bud when she first made a beeline for OP's mother. Now, for our third story. Am I the asshole for walking out of my dad's birthday dinner after being ambushed by my stepmom? I, 25F, have always had a complicated relationship with my dad and his wife, my stepmom. My parents divorced when I was 8, and my dad remarried shortly after. His new wife brought 2 kids into the marriage, and they later had 2 more together. So, I have 4 half-siblings and 2 step-siblings, all younger than me. Growing up, I felt like I was always the odd one out. My dad's focus was on his new family, and while I was never outright excluded, I always felt like an afterthought. My mom raised me, and I visited my dad every other weekend, but as I got older, the visits became less frequent. I've made an effort to keep the peace over the years for the sake of my dad. I visit for holidays, attend family events, and try to bond with my half-siblings. But my stepmom and I have never really gotten along. She's always criticizing me in my career, my clothes, even my decision to stay single for now. My dad usually stays out of it, saying he doesn't want to take sides. Last week was my dad's 50th birthday, and my stepmom organized a big dinner at a fancy restaurant. I showed up with a gift and was genuinely excited to celebrate him. Things were fine until dessert. That's when my stepmom stood up and said, "Since we're all here, it's the perfect time to address some issues as a family." I immediately felt uneasy. She launched into a speech about how I've been distant and don't do enough to blend into the family. She brought up things like how I don't call her on Mother's Day or babysit my half-siblings when they need help. She even mentioned that I missed a family barbecue last month, which I had already explained was due to work. Then my dad chimed in. He said he agreed with her and that it was time for me to make more of an effort to be part of the family. He added that I should apologize to my stepmom for being cold toward her. I was stunned. This wasn't a birthday dinner, it was an ambush. I asked if anyone else felt this way, and my stepmom's parents, who were also there, chimed in, saying they'd always thought I was too independent and didn't value family enough. At that point, I'd had enough. I stood up and said, "If this is what you invited me here for, I'm leaving." My dad tried to stop me, saying I was being dramatic, but I walked out. I went home, turned off my phone, and cried. Since then, my stepmom has been blowing up my phone, calling me selfish and ungrateful. My dad texted me, saying he was disappointed in how I handled things and that I should have stayed to talk it out. Even my mom, who I told about the situation, said I could have stayed to keep the peace, lol. I feel like I was ambushed and humiliated in front of everyone. AITA for walking out instead of staying and addressing the issues. Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. First thing first, you're not the asshole. Go ahead and block your stepmom, and you don't have to watch out for your younger siblings no matter your reason. Doesn't matter if it work-related or not. And what her parents think shouldn't nor doesn't matter, along with not calling her on Mother's Day. What I learned about the whole keep the peace really mean is you need to be a doormat for other while putting your peace to the side. Comment 2. It was all about her. You don't call me on Mother's Day. You don't babysit MY kids for me. And at a birthday dinner in a fancy restaurant, no less. TSK, TSK. That should pretty much seal the deal where this relationship is going. Shorty, up. Comment 3. Agreed. Stepmonster is the biggest asshole demanding for what didn't belong to her from the start. She's just the bed warmer. OP has zero obligations towards Stepmonster. Did the Stepmonster really think that OP owed her anything despite what she thought? Answer is flat out a no. Stepmonster can crawl through the garbage, and she'll never be good enough to deserve what never belonged to the Stepmonster. No contact is the best towards the Stepmonster. OP's father failed big time to put his bed warmer in her place and failed to have OP's back. I'm on OP's side, not the asshole OP. Comment 4. Not the asshole. This was what? 6 or 7 against 1. How is that supposed to be any sort of conversation where your side would be heard? It seems more like an intervention in which your feelings are disregarded. There was no point in staying. The outcome was already predetermined. Talk to your dad and set boundaries for the relationship you want with him. If he isn't agreeable, then go no contact. By the way, few people acknowledge how emotionally costly it is to keep the peace. It's almost always a one-sided investment with little to no return. Now, for our fourth story. Am I the asshole for not let my daughter's grandparents to take her this Christmas? I, 30F, am the single mother of Clara, 2F. My pregnancy wasn't planned. I had a no-strings-attached relationship with her father, Jack, 30M, for 7 months when I became pregnant unexpectedly. He lived in another state, but would visit my city monthly for business reasons, and we hit it off after meeting in a bar. We thought about our options regarding the pregnancy, but I decided to keep the baby. Jack wanted to be part of her life, so we planned to raise the baby together, but not as a couple, just co-parents. Unfortunately, Jax passed away during my pregnancy. Jack's parents, Linda and James, knew that I was pregnant when he passed. We already had done a prenatal paternity test at the time. We were all devastated by his passing, but of course his parents were destroyed by it. Clara is their first and only grandkid, and she became their beacon of light in a dark time, as they say. They have other 2 daughters, Ruth, 37F, and Lily, 27F, but they don't have children. Ruth is trying to conceive for a long time with her husband, and Lily is child-free and single. Jack's whole family lives in another state, with the exception of Lily, that lives abroad. They have a family business, so their life is there, while I have my family and career in my current city, where I live with Clara. Since Clara was born, we have an agreement. Nothing legal, but we all agreed with visitations for her grandparents and aunts. They usually visit Clara twice a month. James and Linda are the ones that visit the most, but Ruth also shows up sometimes. I really appreciate their presence on her life. Since the beginning, a point of contact on our relationship was traveling with Clara to their state. They have a big property that's in their family for over 100 years and have a family business too. In their small town, they are treated as almost royalty and wanted Clara to experience that. I understand that it's good for my daughter to know her heritage, but I always put my foot down on the idea of their traveling with her without me. I already visited their hometown 3 times with Clara since she was born, but this isn't enough apparently. Our relationship wasn't perfect. I had some issues with Linda meddling way too much on my parenting, but we were civil until I started my current relationship. I've been dating Ted, 34M, for almost a year, and things are tense with James and Linda. Ted and I don't live together, and he has a daughter, Marie, for F, that lives with him. Linda has expressed disapproval to his constant presence in my house, which is not true. Both of us work a lot, and between our kids and other priorities, we probably see each other 3 to 4 times a week. To Marie having play dates and sleepovers with Clara, and the list go on. The woman will find a way to comment something even about Ted's car parked in front of my house. Things escalated when 2 weeks ago, I emailed Linda, James, and Ruth an invite for Christmas Eve. Ted and I will have a get-together with our families and close friends. I decided to invite Clara's grandparents so they can spend Christmas Eve with her, but I also let them know that if they prefer, they can take her for lunch on Christmas Day. The next day, Linda texted me that they already had plans to take Clara to their home on Christmas. I said that this was not happening. I didn't hear anything from her for about 2 days. Linda called me stating that she gave me 2 days to cool off and be reasonable. I asked what she meant, and she said they have rights over Clara and they had waited too much to take her home for Christmas. Now she is bigger and can travel without me. I said that this was never discussed, and I will not let them travel with my daughter without even discussing with me before. Linda said this was the discussion before the travel. I laughed on the call and said she was delusional. Things escalated quickly after that. I was accused of trying to replace Jack on Clara's life. I also said some things that were a little cruel about Jack never even meeting Clara. After Linda hung up on me, James called and tried to reason with me. He let it slip that they bought Clara's plane tickets 2 months ago without asking me first. I said there's no way I would let them walk all over me. James lost his temper and demanded that I should apologize to Linda or we will go to court over this. I didn't back down and said they were choosing to fight over this, not me. Well, after some time of silence from them, I was served with court papers. They are suing me over custody of Clara and are stating I am unfit as a mother. I already have a lawyer who I consult before our fight over the phone. She told me yesterday they have almost zero chance of getting any custody. The most they can get is visitation, but still I am worried about this becoming a legal battle. People in my life are divided. Part of them think I did nothing wrong by putting up boundaries, and others think it's petty of me to start a fight with my daughter's grandparents when I could let them travel with her for Christmas, when I know they are good grandparents and will take care of her. So, am I the asshole? Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. Absolutely not the asshole. Clara is your child. The idea of a 2-year-old traveling without her mother is asinine. You were very kind to encourage their relationship with your daughter. However, they're taking things way too far. They will not get custody. Do not allow them any contact with Clara. They want custody and may just take her. They are clear in what they want. Any further communication with them will be twisted and used against you. Congratulations on your new relationship. You deserve some happiness and peace. Comment 2. That is so understandable because she is his blood. Their only living link to their son. As a mother of a dead son, I see their side. There will not be any winners. OP was gracious to invite them to her home to share their granddaughter's Christmas. However, I think they have had plans since the baby was born to try to kidnap her. That's why they aren't interested on seeing their granddaughter on OP's terms. Hence, buying plane tickets behind OP's back. My son's death is an unsolved murder. Several women claimed their babies were my sons to claim SS payments. I was not in a state to deal with it. My oldest daughter did. Once she mentioned DNA tests to prove paternity, all those women went quiet and found other daddies. We wonder if my son was actually involved with any of these women at the time of his death. He did date them in high school. He was 36 when he died. If my son did have a child when he died, I would be happy just to have any connection with my grandchild. If the mom would move on to another man and be happy, I would be happy. I would allow her to visit any time she could. If she had a boyfriend/husband, he would be invited and welcomed. If mom felt more comfortable being with my grandchild, that would not bother me one bit. I would always want a connection to my grandchild, but not full-time. Once the child was much older, there's time for summer vacation visits. By that time, hopefully, there would be a relationship between mom and me. I also think the grandparents' minds they don't want OP to find a man and get married. I bet they think with her as a single unmarried woman, they have a better chance of gaining custody of their granddaughter. Comment 3. Document every communication you have from now on, and anything you have from this ridiculous demand. You have been more than accommodating. They are royalty in their town and have delusions of grandeur. Stop talking to them. Good luck. I wish you and your daughter the best. Comment 4. You would have to be a terrible parent to lose her to people who see her once a month. You offered to let them come visit, and they are refusing that offer. Your daughter is too. She is very young to go away for days with people she probably likes but barely knows. She shouldn't spend the night away with them until she is old enough to say she wants to do it. Some kids are ready for a sleepover young, and some are closer to middle school age before they are ready. They don't get to take her for Christmas as if she is a thing without her own emotions. She needs her one stable parent every day, including Christmas. You are her rock. You are her stability. You are her person. They are selfish. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more.